My name is Szymon Drejewicz. By day, I'm working as a group engineering director in ASI company. By night, I sleep. Really? Today, I'm going to speak to talk about software engineering methods with Cursor AI, and I think that this presentation is slightly about context engineering, but I'm not going to be boring. I'm not the expert of context engineering. However, one thing I think is true is that the context is the king. And please raise a hand if you think the same way, that context is the king. Okay, so we are friends. I'm really happy. Because it's a lightning talk, I'm not going to elaborate on every single slide. So if you have a question, just raise a hand and give the question. I will try to quickly answer your question. And after the presentation, I can give more details about my approach, my attempts with Cursor AI. I will start with one sentence that is really important for me, as I was a teacher in Warsaw University of Technology. I was a trainer of software engineering things and all of the topics related with software engineering, which mostly means requirements management. And that is very often very boring for developers. However, it's true that requirements management probably is the most ugly part of software engineering. And this sentence here is, software engineering is a process where programming is actually almost the last step of the process, just before fixing bugs. And by this, I want to say that, of course, AI-assisted code engineering, code programming or coding is really important, but we have to remember that there is plenty of things we need to go with before we start to do any source code. Do you agree with me? Okay, that's good. Don't be afraid to say, no, I don't agree. And as we sit here, probably most of us, we can admit that Cursor is a very nice tool for code completion. Hitting tab or command tab or command enter, it's like playing a nice game. You have yet another result. You can improve it, you can change it, but it's perfect. It's really changing the way how we write software. Despite we like it or not, despite we are fans of the programming or we like to program, but we have no experience. I know a lot of people who have no experience and try to use Cursor-like tools, and they are impressed how simple it is. So the question from my point of view, as a person who most of the professional life spent in roles related with software engineering as a manager, project manager, sometimes Scrum Master, this ugly agile epoch is, I would say, after it's done. But yes, I've been there. I was doing this. And 20 years ago, I was a regular developer and I was working as probably half of this room or even more of you. And still what I see is the same question. If the given tool, this time it's Cursor or any other like Windsurf or, all of those tools today, Cloud Code, for example, mostly preferred by guys who are terminal users, can we use the tool for supported AI specification? How do you think? Is it possible? Is it a good idea to do software requirement specification using Cursor, or it's not? Raise a hand if you think that, okay, I accept this question, I accept this challenge. I think it might be interesting. Do you agree with this, or it's totally not interesting for you? Two of you, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. How many of you are daily developers? Most of you. So, okay. So before I will go to next slides with my lightning talk, which is really short, that are the questions which are terrifying for every system engineer or system analyst or architect. These questions are about before we started to design, did we ask every single question? Before we started to code, did we choose right technology stack? Did we analyze the structure of the data, workflows, business processes? Do we know everything that is necessary? And the last question here is really tough. Maybe I will move on from away. Am I not mixing analysis with design? That's the key question with the role of software engineers, architects, and it's not my phone. Because I've seen many times that if you are trying to design a system and you are trying to start with the analysis, the worst thing people do, they try to design system before they start to understand the problem. So most of the analysts, system analysts, try to apply known solution to unknown problems, and that's the mistake. So this list of the question is something that we should take care of when we try to design a solution. So I decided that I will formulate this need in a way how we use to do user stories. So here is a user story of a single software engineer. Never mind which one, it might be myself or any one of you. As a software engineer, I need a rational process that will guarantee that I'm doing right things and I'm doing the things in the right way, and I have control over the whole process. And that is something that, okay, if I will use paper, if I will use books, standards, I can accept that that might be a solution. But what I think is, can I do this with Cursor? Is it feasible? I started to think about this when I was working by night on my side project. Nothing special, just simple application for lawyers, as my wife, she's a lawyer. So I decided I will build some kind of AI-supported legal department application. And when I was working on this, I started to think, okay, before I will produce yet another, lines of code, do I understand the requirements? Actually, do I understand the business needs that is before the implementation, that is important before the implementation? And I started to do some Cursor rules and all of those things you probably know much better than me. Just before the start, I've heard a short talk with the person who will be the next speaker just after Wojciech, probably. And I started to think, okay, maybe it was a wrong idea to give this presentation. But okay, I decided, I sent my proposal and it was accepted, so I have to go forward. And I started with my code repository. I did some mistakes, I have some observations, and last weeks and months, we saw that, okay, this way of thinking about the rational process before you start to code anything, implement, test it, verify, many of the providers of the solutions like Cursor, Windsurf, even Amazon, and even GitHub, they established quite interesting project, which name is GitHub Spec Kit. It's a set of rules, prompts, and scripts that helps you specify requirements before it is implemented. Very interesting solution, but in my opinion, very limited to a specific technology stack or vision how the software engineering may go. Because my observation on my own side project was that the workflow that I want to realize with my concrete specific project, specific product, is really connected with the product itself. So it means that as long as I will try to apply, for example, a rational unified process or agile methodology, I will start to fix myself with the rules and expect to be flexible in the same time, which is insane. So I started to understand that I have to build an environment that is flexible in the same moment as I do the coding or as I specify requirements. So I decided that I would be, sorry, I'm not the perfect user of the microphone. I need to fix my arm. I hope you can hear me quite well. Yes, it's okay, good. Thank you. You are very interactive. So here is the description. For half of you, probably it's nothing special. A set of simple rules for Cursor ID, which are actually readable for human like me. The documentation folder, which is definitely folder for myself, maybe someday for another developer who will join my project. And I decided as well to put some templates there, and I decided to put some kind of repository-specific workflow, let's say, which actually was simple document describing how I imagine the sequence of the artifacts like requirements, to-do list, use cases, scenario for use cases, implementation work plan, and so on and so on. And I thought that it will be as easy, you know, with tab key when you try to press, yeah, okay, next, next, next. But of course it was wrong idea. It was stupid. And I found that this way I will produce a lot of specification, a lot of documents that probably are not needed for myself because my intent is obvious. The problem with communication between me and AI is that I know the intent, AI doesn't know the intent. So hallucination, production of many unnecessary specifications, you know, a lot of requirements that I have never written anyway, I see in my specifications. How come? It's because my prompts are not precise. Is it because I don't know. Actually, I was not aware how it goes that it's so productive in terms of giving me a lot of specification that is actually not necessary for me. Because I know what I expect. So I decided that I have to change something. But before I will move to the solution, which is actually also really simple, I must admit that there are some pros despite of the cons in this way of thinking about the software engineering. Because years ago, when you decided that, okay, I want to have requirement specification, I want to define all of the use cases, all of the sequence diagrams, all of the classes, fields, and all of the things that probably for some of the programming languages are not anymore useful. It was really difficult, for example, to do some kind of backward compatibility or checking your specification versus the product is implemented. So in other words, after a few months, every software requirement specification was outdated and nobody liked to have it. And today, the situation is totally different. You can very easily synchronize it 10,000 times daily. If you decide that, okay, after this change in my source code, I can rebuild the specification. I will check if the criteria of the acceptance are okay or not. I can do traceability matrix, for example, when I can verify if every single requirement from my specification is okay with every single task I have on my list as a developer in the project. So I decided that I will introduce simple solution. So this time to this silly process with hitting tab and auto-completion of everything and producing a lot of software requirement specification entries and reviewing them without understanding why I have a lot of shit there. I decided that I need something simple like review, tweak, and tune. And that's actually changed the way how I get nice outcome from software engineering using AI assistance, because review, this step, this micro step, gives me better understanding of every single artifact in the process, in the software engineering process assisted with AI. When I tweak the artifacts after they were generated by AI, actually I'm improving the repository. So the product of my work is better action by action. And then I have to tune the process because I don't like repeat myself. I don't want to repeat the same mistake with generating yet another artifact in software specification wrong way. That makes no sense. I need to improve it. And next time, whenever I ask for the feature description based on my drawing or something, I expect to have very good specification that will be useful for myself or maybe my colleague next time. So this tuning of the process is actually for Cursor. Cursor is using all of the artifacts. And this is the reason why I said that this presentation and this simple workflow or way of thinking is about context engineering, because everything I do, even if I'm using Cursor AI as a software engineer, not just a programmer. No offense, I like to be programmer, but sometimes I think that software engineering is much more than just coding. So moving back to the clue or to the main conclusion of this presentation, I need to be very flexible with the process if I expect that I accept every change that is coming every day to my specification. And I think that the mistake with software engineering so far, or insane, naive assumption, was that we can have very solid, fixed process and expect that every development team will be flexible as hell every week, every sprint. They will, deliver whatever you want just because they have solid, iterative process. But it's not true. The process itself, as well, it must be flexible as we expect the team to be flexible. That's all. Thank you. Any questions or comments? There is one question or just hand.
Thank you for your talk. My question is, what does the tuning look like for you in practice? And does it just modify the templates, the rules file, or?
Exactly. That is simple as you said. Whenever I have, for example, a request defined by my drawing that I want to have an application window that shows me operations sent to LLM model, that's the feature of my application. It must look this way. It has to keep the buttons for reviewing pages and so on. I expect to have a list of use cases for the given feature. And before I will go further with the implementation even of the specification, not the code, I want to review this part of the specification. So I'm reading the use cases and I'm analyzing them. And that's a very interesting question, an example, because I found that years ago, there was a SVO grammar, which stands for subject, verb, object grammar. So whenever you want to specify any scenario for use case, there is very good grammar to write every single sentence of that. And LLM like it like hell, because you are precise, and LLM can take, classes, operations from every single sentence in the scenario. So that's, yes, I'm doing it manually on every step. And actually, this is a very similar pattern like it was with the AI-assisted programming, because you remember the initial phase was that we started to build code and we started to have a lot of poor quality code. So we decided that I need to have often commits. I need to track the changes, because if I will destroy anything, I can quickly move one step back and repair the bug or repair the mistake. And the same is with software requirement specification. You should put it in such a granular way that you have control over every single aspect of the workflow. Any other question?
Questions. One more question.
Okay,
no
questions.
Thank you, Szymon. Thank you very much. Round of applause.